Hi everyone and welcome back. Today we'll be doing a little review of the patch 2.2 preview for Wild Rift, and let's just watch the dev diary together. And I haven't watched a lot of it yet, so I've seen a little bit like the item changes and whatnot, but let's just see how it goes. And I think the changes from what I've heard are very big, very exciting, so I'm really interested to see like how big these changes really are and how they really affect the game. So let's just get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Dev Diary for patch 2.2. I'm Jane Chen, and I want to give you a peek into the stuff coming to Wild Rift over the next couple of months. Today, we're going to be covering brand new champions, some amazing skins, and an update on choosing your position in game, and even newer ways to play Wild Rift. So stick around. This is our biggest patch yet, so let's get right into it.
Biggest patch yet. Interesting.
We want to officially welcome all the players in the Americas into the open beta. We know you've been patiently waiting, and we're thrilled to finally launch Wild Rift in your region. To get you caught up to speed, we're introducing a special limited time event called Wild Welcome. During this time, you'll earn champions.
Wait, this is so unfair, by the way, because like our SEA region didn't get like
help you get started.
This level
of course, that's in addition to the rewards you receive for your time and investment in League of Legends by logging in using your Riot Games account.
League of Legends, it's so unfair because we had Garena, so we didn't have Riot accounts, right? Which is why it's so rare. There's this like wicked icon border, right, for the accounts, and it's so rare because nobody had Riot accounts, like in our server, because nobody bothered to even use Riot accounts because we all use Garena. So this is like whatever, man. It's unfair, but whatever. I mean, we got the game first, so we can't complain.
Very soon, we'll be adding in-game support for Arabic. It's taken us some time to get it ready because we've adjusted the game's UI layout completely, so it should feel natural to navigate around. Let us know what you think and where we can improve. One of the things we've heard a lot from you is that Wild Rift has a lot of humanoid champs, not as many monstrous types. So let's take a peek into the cave and find out who's coming next.
Okay. I love Galio so much, by the way. I think even in League PC, he is one of my favorite champs. Not in competitive, but I think like his playstyle and his kit overall is so fresh, right? It's so different compared to, especially compared to what we are seeing in the meta right now, which is mostly dominated by control mages. I think Galio will add so much variety into how like teams will draft against him, as well as how teams draft overall, because he adds so many layers of complexity to a level like to any team composition. So I think Galio is just it's just a champion that I'm really excited to see. What is his bar below his mana pool, by the way? Is that his shield? Because Galio has a magic damage shield in League of Legends, so interested to know what that red bar below his mana pool is. Rammus. I assume this is the newly updated Rammus. Wait, he maintains his spin during his jump. Holy shit. Kha'Zix. I think Kha'Zix, I think Kha'Zix is cool and all, but I don't think he will. Maybe with combinations with like Galio, for example. But I feel the playstyle that Kha'Zix has, doesn't really fit. First of all, competitive, right, and the Wild Rift meta. I would say I feel like he's slightly awkward because Kha'Zix is a champion that doesn't want to skirmish early on. Right, he can be considered like a subpar version of some of the farming champions, but with the aggressiveness of like a Lee Sin, right? Because he wants to, like, Kha'Zix wants to full clear, right? But he wants to fight after he full clears. So the thing is that right now jungle champions either full clear and are really way stronger after their first or second full clear, and champions like Lee Sin, they don't have to full clear, they are already strong. Right, and Kha'Zix, even after I think clearing once or twice, will not be as strong as somebody like an Olaf, But we have yet to see like what are the damage numbers, right? Exactly how his abilities have changed from League PC to Wild Rift, because in League PC, Kha'Zix is a very high economy champion, meaning that he really requires a lot of gold to like stabilize in the game and to perform well. And I think it will transfer over to Wild Rift, and I don't think Wild Rift is the kind of game that is forgiving enough to give champions like Kha'Zix the time that he needs to sort of scale, especially when his usage isn't so like I would say flexible, right? And Olaf in many situations can be used like not just as a bruiser or like as a front line, right? He can be placed in a dive composition, even have some usage in compositions that need to kite back, right? Whereas Kha'Zix has a very more streamlined role. I think it might be very hard for him to be played in competitive, but I think in solo queue he will definitely find a place, because it's very easy to abuse people's mistakes, especially using your invisibility and how quick you can move around the map. Rengar, okay. So, as much as I like the idea of jungle Rengar, I feel that lane Rengar might probably be better, right? Especially for top lane. I think top lane Rengar, back in League PC, was extremely strong. In a lot of like bruiser or niche matchups. And one of the reasons why top lane Rengar was sort of phased out in League PC was because of the arrival of tank meta, right? Where building armor pen and whatnot didn't really affect you. I mean, we'll see from some of the changes later how, like, because I know there are item changes, how it really affects the tank meta. But I think in this game where tanks are not as strong as they are in Wild Rift, I feel that bruisers definitely do have the upper edge here, and I think just a bruiser Rengar or just even a full damage assassin Rengar will come up a lot. Definitely top lane jungle. I think we'll definitely have to see what his clear speed is like before we can talk about whether he can jungle or not. Same with Kha'Zix. Nice, being an ADC. Okay, Renekton. Not the cleanest of combos, but Renekton is Renekton is definitely one of my favorite champions as well. He's very notorious in in League of Legends, Happy Crocodile, but I think he will do well in the Wild Rift meta, because the reason why Renekton is either shamed, like how would I say, like looked down upon, because in League PC the meta there can be at a very high level is very slow, and there's a very big difference between competitive and solo queue, I think. And there even reaches a point in solo queue where Renekton is just not a good pick, right? Because you don't offer anything, and your playstyle is so streamlined into a certain theme that you don't really find a way to play outside of that style. And if your composition does not help that, or if the enemy composition counters you, the champion overall does not have any outs, right? But with Wild Rift the map being so small, objectives being so important, the game being so fast paced, I think a champion like Renekton, especially with how strong it is in the laning phase, will offer so much for overall any team composition, right? Because it is a champion that standalone is very strong. It's just that in League PC the games generally take too long, and scaling champions with long range will definitely overtake Renekton in the mid to late game, and it's very hard to abuse early game. But in Wild Rift it's completely different, right? Where the early game matters so much more, and at the moment I would say at a high level there hasn't been that much of innovation, right? I mean, there definitely has with the lane swap and all that, but there hasn't been that much innovation and technique and skill of how players actually abuse the laning phase, especially against like early game champions, like Akali, for example, or Lee Sin jungle, right? There hasn't been that much of a high level progression. There definitely has been progress, but we haven't reached the level where champions like Renekton will easily phase out.
What happens when two of League's deadliest champions clash in the most dangerous of games? We'll find out in our next major event, Masters of the Hunt, launching next month. The event will throw you into the ancient rivalry between Kha'Zix and Rengar to determine who is predator and who is prey. We're also introducing a new gameplay system.
So if you guys didn't know, the sort of duel that they had, sort of effect that they had was that if this duel triggers and Rengar kills Kha'Zix, I think he will get additional stats, because Rengar is supposed to have a passive that pretty much gives him additional stats every time he kills an opponent, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or that is at least the old passive. The current one I'm not too sure, but if he kills Kha'Zix, he will get additional stats, right? If Kha'Zix kills Rengar, he will get an additional evolution, right? So Kha'Zix is a champion that evolves his skills every time he levels up his ultimate, right? And the thing is that you can only up your ultimate 3 times, right? But if you kill Rengar, you can evolve 4 skills instead of 3. So there is a little bit of a debate because the Kha'Zix sort of 4th evolution is so much more powerful compared to the Rengar additional stats. So I'm interested to see how they will sort of balance it, or if they'll leave it the same.
For this event. We'll have more details coming
But that's
soon,
pretty cool actually, the
including
effects.
rewards, so stay tuned for more. As we said earlier this year, we're looking to flesh out Wild Rift's item pool. Patch 2.2 brings a few new items and tweaks, including refreshing the item icons so they more closely match the ones on League PC. Let's dive in. We're adding Frozen Heart,
Okay.
Force of Nature,
Okay.
and Sunfire Aegis to help flesh out the item pool for tank players. Sapphire Crystal now has the mana charge passive on it, so you can stack earlier and evolve your Tear of the Goddess items sooner. Sheen no longer builds out a Sapphire Crystal, making it a more accessible choice to non-mana users. Outside of items, the Summoner's
Yo, wait, this is huge, by the way. Like, so okay,
new items and tweaks,
the first
including
thing,
refreshing the item icons so they more closely match the ones on League PC. Let's dive in.
the first thing is that right now we are in a meta which is heavily dominated by not just like control mages, but AD carries have a very high efficacy or very high impact rate in a lot of games, right? Because there's a lack of items that really counter them, right? Besides just Randuins, right? And even champions like Kaisa do makes damage, or in this game there are a lot of spell based AD carries, and Randuins doesn't exactly counter that approach. So I mean, to be fair, neither does Frozen Heart, but I think this is a very essential item in the game, which in League PC were, you know, one of the best items to counter tanks, because not only does it's slow, like it's, so what Frozen Heart does is that there's an AoE attack speed slow. Whoever is in the range around you will get an attack speed slow, and it stacks with the Randuin slow, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a huge buff for tanks. Not to mention, I mean, if we look at the price here, it's only 2.8k, 2.85 thousand.
We're adding Frozen Heart, Force of Nature,
and same with Force of Nature. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they said that they were swapping this for Adaptive Helm, and this is really important because Adaptive Helm had very high usage, but it was only very efficient in very niche scenarios. So Force of Nature overall is just going to be a better counterpart. And I mean, if you don't know what Force of Nature does, I can show you on the screen right now, right? I think overall it is just a stronger item to Adaptive Helm because it is more usable in all scenarios, right? I don't know if the exact stats and the exact usage will cross over into Wild Rift, but definitely from what I can see here, I think Force of Nature is just going to be that premier magic resist item, right? Unless your champion has very high health regen or healing ability like Mundo, right? You probably want to get this over Spirit Visage, especially since it's like, you know, 50 gold cheaper anyway.
and Sunfire Aegis to help flesh out.
So the thing about Sunfire Aegis or Sunfire Cape that we can notice here is that first is it doesn't build from armor anymore, right? And instead it builds from I think that's Kindle Gem, right? So this is interesting because now we understand that it doesn't give any more armor, right? So it is a more well-rounded item. And the second thing is that it's also only costing 2.7k, which is 100 gold cheaper than what it costs now, if I'm not mistaken. So not only is the item like super cheap, but it gives you stats that is usable throughout the whole game, right? I think stacking ability haste is extremely important for tanks, and well, I mean, if you get this as a first item, it definitely is going to be slightly weaker at the first dragon, because the armor does give you a lot more effective HP than, like, ability haste would. So it is definitely slightly worse as a first item, but it is cheaper. It gives you ability haste, right? Which as a tank you always want to have more CC. I mean, more spells, more CC, more crowd control, and more impact during team fights. I think is very important overall. And the game, I mean, the tanks in this game have a lot less cooldown and ability haste than they do in League PC. So it's very good to see that they are sort of moving in the same direction that League PC has, because I think tanks overall are very undervalued in Wild Rift, and they do definitely have a place, but obviously they don't want there to be a tank meta because it's very slow, very unfun to play against. But this is definitely moving in the right direction, because I'm actually also very interested to see, did they change the Barmy Cinder passive? So right now, Barmy Cinder or Sunfire Cape is the old Sunfire Cape, where you basically just have an AoE burn, whereas the new Sunfire Cape sort of has that AoE burn, but an explosion is sort of triggered when you CC an opponent or use a spell that has a CC on it. So I feel like that if that changes, we might see a lot of difference, not only in the tanks in the top lane, but maybe even support, jungle. I feel like this item overall is really strong if they change it to that sort of effectiveness. But obviously it does phase out some of the other champions like Mundo, which relies so much on this item, right, at the current in its current state.
Out the item pool for tank players. Sapphire Crystal.
Now, this Sapphire Crystal change, right, I think is huge, right? Not only because it allows mages to start with basically a mini tier, right, and it gives like a little bit of ability haste, but it's not just that. It's because it allows them to change their build path, right? Now, I mean, at this current point in time, champions don't really feel the mana burn from like casting so many spells, and that's why we suddenly see a lot of champions stop building Seraph's Embrace, right? And only build it for the shield, because people realize, like, if you take Sweet Tooth or Mana Flow Ban, or if you just use your spells properly and stop spamming them, you don't really have a lot of issues with laning, because the lanes are so short. And the fact is that if you know how to control your lane, you can build much better DPS items and forego the mana items, which I think is still going to be the better option. But this Sapphire Crystal change does open up a lot more starting paths and a lot of different, like champions that can itemize slightly differently after just purchasing this 500 gold item.
Now has the mana charge passive on it, so you can stack Sheen.
Okay, so I think this Sheen buff is insane, because not only does it lead to just better itemization all around, right? It's only 900 gold, and the fact is that it doesn't give mana. So, and like how I put it, you won't be recalling. I mean, for sure you have to recall on 900 gold. You can't start with a starting item that builds into it, right? You can no longer, like, I think this item is just insane, because tanks can build this item now, right? Mundo can build this item, bruisers can build this item without having to buy a stupid Sapphire Crystal. And the thing is that with the item stats, they have like 10 ability haste and the Spellblade passive, like, it's possible to just have the item on its own and leave it be, right? Like before a dragon fight, for example, you need the best possible power spike that you could have. You could probably just buy a Sheen and you would be in a good situation, because the amount of damage that this one item gives you is insane, especially for the right champions. So I think this is really good, not just for like champions like Ezreal, which like the Sheen, right, because it's cheaper for him, but for tanks as well, right? Because champions like Mundo, they want to buy Sheen, but they don't want to complete the whole item, and now that Sheen is cheaper, doesn't build from tier, they can just buy it and still be useful, keep it as a component item, and then in the later stages of the game they can still decide if they want to complete into a Triforce or Iceborne or just sell it off.
No longer builds out a Sapphire Crystal, making it a more accessible choice to non-mana users. Outside of
Holy shit, I just missed this. I just
Sapphire
realized,
Crystal,
right, this means that Lich Bane won't have mana anymore, which also means that champions that can use Lich Bane will build Lich Bane. Champions like Akali, Katarina, which currently do not build Lich Bane because of a lot of the cost of Lich Bane goes into the mana, and when that is removed, I think champions that can abuse Lich Bane definitely should abuse it. So Akali, Katarina, two of the champions that I forgot about, will definitely be building this item.
Outside of items, the summoner spell Ghost wasn't seeing a lot of use, so we're updating it as League PC has. It should now be stronger and more fun to use. Its top speed is reduced, but the buff lasts longer now,
top
and on
speed is
takedown,
reduced?
your speed boost will be reapplied. So now
I mean, I
everyone
think
can get excited.
Ghost is just
Finally,
overall it's just weak because the spell, like the map is so small that the movement speed doesn't give you anything useful, especially with how cheap items like Righteous Glory is, right? Maybe with the exception of champions like Darius and Singed, I don't think there will be a lot of champs or players that will want to use Ghost, right? But we might see. I think for certain champions it will definitely be very beneficial.
changing the way champions play with higher attack speed. Right now, stacking a bunch of attack speed basically makes you feel like you have no windup on your attacks, giving you an easy way to flawlessly kite or chase as a high-powered marksman. We're adjusting this so it's not so forgiving. We'll be keeping an eye on win rates closely to make sure it doesn't feel too...
Okay, but like why though? Like, if you, I mean, interesting. I feel like there wasn't a need for this, but
bad for duel.
okay.
Over the past few months, we've been gathering your feedback about quality of life features you want to see in the game. We've heard you, and we're adding some features to make your experience better. We're adding new pings to give you a way to say, enemy
Yes,
missing,
thank you.
an enemy has vision here.
Thank you.
For advanced customization, you can now tune the dead zones on your ability buttons. The bigger
Thank
the dead
you.
zone, the harder it is to accidentally aim when tapping abilities.
Jesus, like this should
We've
have been
added
in
more
the game.
clarity around when neutral objectives spawn on the minimap. And you can
Okay.
now optionally hide player names in-game,
Okay.
or choose to
No
display
longer am I going to see the whole, like there are those people that have their name that is like for some reason just like 26 letters long, and it's just not going to fly off my screen. Like,
champion names instead.
thank you. Yes, it's all what we have all been waiting
Many
for.
of you have asked for a way to have more control over the position you play in-game. We're going to be running a short test for a feature we're calling Position Preference. Choose which playstyle you're most interested in, and the matchmaker will try to assign you one of your preferred positions in the lobby. If you don't want to pick manually, we'll look back at your recent history and base it off that instead. We're only running this for a few days to collect data on how well it's working, so you'll find a separate queue in the Rank tab.
What?
For
Oh,
anyone who
a separate queue in the ranked tab. So it does affect your ranked, right?
wants to help us test, none of your matches, ratings, or event progress will carry over from this queue.
Huh? So does it give you LP or not?
So give it a try. We'll keep iterating on the system, and if it's going well,
That's
we'll
a
be
little
adding it
weird.
to ranked at a later
But
date.
I'll definitely be trying this out.
One quick note. This test won't be available in the Americas yet.
Okay, okay, it doesn't matter. New skins, yes. What we have all been waiting
This
for.
patch introduces the premier first to Wild Rift skin line called
Ooh.
Stargazer.
Wild Rift specific.
The Stargazers
What
are
the fuck
godlike
is that?
archers who can see and influence fate by studying the stars. Joining the roster are Camille,
That looks, yeah.
Twisted Fate,
Okay, the Twisted Fate one is kind of like, it's okay.
and Soraka. And we'll be
Nah,
running a small in-game event to
nah, this skin line is shit, man. I
Celebrate
think
the
the the TF skin is
Of
fine,
course,
but the Camille and
we'll leave
Soraka
you
one,
without
like,
another quick look at some other
cringe.
skins coming soon.
ooh, shit. Best Darius skin. The best cannon skin. Oh my god, and the best Corki skin. Okay, the meme Draven skin. Oh, this is the best Renekton skin as well. Oh, all the skins they are pumping out are all like really high quality, especially the God King Darius skin. That is by far the best Darius skin. Wild Pass.
Later in the patch,
It's like
we're
some
introducing
Battle
the
Pass
Wild
shit.
Pass, a way to get more stuff just for playing. Here's how it
Ah,
works.
I see.
The Wild Pass works just like you'd expect.
Okay, I mean, to be fair, I think this is like really good. Because skin post selection. I mean, okay, looks like, is this a new skin?
You can upgrade your Wild Pass at any point to claim all the content you've earned so far.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't decide to upgrade, all players can still earn blue motes and poro coins from the pass totally free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the Wild Pass Elite, which comes with some extra missions and XP to help speed up your progress. Reaching level 50 on the Wild Pass grants an exclusive skin, Explorer Jax, to show the world how far you've come.
The skin actually looks kind of sick. Like it looks better than the fucking Stargazer Camille skin. What the hell is this?
But things don't stop there. There are some extra bonus rewards to help you add more content to your collection. Let us know what you think when it rolls out.
Okay, I think this is just really good because, okay, so first of all, quality of life changes. Pings, important. Dead zone, very important. Champion names, good, right? I think objective timers, also good. So all these, I think, are really nice to see. The Wild Pass itself also going to be, nobody will say no to free stuff, right? I'm definitely going to be buying it myself, because I'm not pay to win, but I just want more free stuff. ARAM.
Finally, starting this patch, already releasing a temporary test for
No way, right? Holy shit. Oops.
ARAM on the rest of the Freljord from an ancient enemy. Compared to Wild Rift's 3 lanes.
Okay, I'm gonna be hosting an ARAM tournament. I think I feel that ARAM is, oh my god, I fucking love ARAM. Like, this is by far my most favorite game mode ever.
And ARAM
in League of Legends.
And instead of picking your champion, you're assigned a random one from your...
Right, so it's just like all random, all mid. There's only one lane. They give you a random champion. You can sort of trade with your teammates, or you can reroll. Right, I think this is... My god, this is so cool. Okay, I can't wait for this. Like, definitely gonna do a lot of ARAM streams.
Again, to get use Mark to throw a snowball.
Okay, they have Mark too. So Mark is, it's just like, it's a really OP spell that allows melee champs to get to them fast. I mean, like, if this summoner spell was in the actual Summoner's Rift, right, it'll be too broken. So that's why it's on ARAM.
Reactivate it to dash to them, similar to Lee Sin's first ability.
Okay, but like, he didn't use any of his skills. What?
Uses to instantly get the party started. Now this is just the first step. Not everything is going to be balanced or polished, so we'll need a lot of feedback to make this a better experience. Also, in this first iteration, we're releasing without support for some features like ARAM specific loadouts so that we can get your feedback on the gameplay sooner. We've got a ton more information on ARAM and our approach to new modes in the blog post we just released.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for this dev diary. Let us know what else you want to see. Enjoy patch 2.2.
Okay, I think this dev diary is, I mean, when they said it was one of the biggest patches, they weren't, I mean, it is the biggest patch, they weren't lying. Definitely, I think when it comes to gameplay, new champions, really excited for Galio and Rammus. I think the other champs are like, and Renekton, these 3 champs. I think Kha'Zix and Rengar, I'm just like, meh. Gameplay changes, very excited for the tank item changes, as well as the Sheen change, really big for Akali and Katarina to be able to buy Lich Bane. Also nice to see the quality of life changes that they're adding, because a lot of these have been sort of wants from the community, and I think good to see that they're listening again, always listening and adding more. The skins wise, God King Darius, Blood Moon Cannon, and Scorch Earth Renekton. Oh, and Corgi. These are the 4 that, I mean, I don't even play Darius and I already have a Corgi skin, but I might be like slightly tempted to buy, yeah, I think definitely, plus ARAM. I'm just going to be playing a lot of ARAM, like, especially because I'm a coach, I don't need to be playing the game as much. I'm just going to be spamming ARAM. Okay, so anybody wants to join me ARAM, hit me up. I think this patch notes have been just overall super exciting really nice to see what all the changes are coming through. Yeah, I think that's about it. I gave my thoughts on each individual section. I feel that a lot of the things that they are doing will definitely come with a lot of side effects, like the tank item changes might be slightly overtuned with how cheap those items are, but at the moment tanks in this game don't really have a lot of effectiveness, so I can see the approach that they're going with. There will definitely be a lot of side tuning in future patch notes, but I'm really happy to see the approach that they're taking following this line of League PC, and the overall holistic approach as Wild Rift progresses to be more competitive, right? So thank you all for watching. It's been a slightly long video. I'll see you all next time.